Hello,
Are you all right?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I've got my heated blanket on though.
Oh, I am very, very, very jealous. We've stuck the heating on in the creator studio. I'm feeling quite chilly. Oh gosh. So how is it where you are with the weather?
Freezing. I mean, we're right by the sea, so we don't really get snow here, but it gets very, very frosty.
Oh, I can imagine. It's just, it, yeah. I was driving back from Sussex on Sunday, and it took 13 hours to drive
Oh
back
God.
out because of the weather. So I'm not enjoying any driving in the
No.
car.
At least it's not raining though. I think rain is one of my worst weathers. I'd rather it be nice and cold and get to wrap up nice and toasty.
Absolutely, and there is something quite special about sitting in your living room and looking out and just seeing a blanket of snow everywhere. It never happens in the UK, so it is such a magical moment to see.
I've loved seeing everyone's houses all snowy and white. It doesn't really happen here.
Oh, bless you. Yeah, come to Cheltenham. It's just
Yeah.
snow at the moment. Amazing. So we were just going to start off with a couple of questions about adding colour before we get on to all of the questions that have been sent in. If anybody watching, if you've got any questions about how you would like to add colour or pattern in your home or any general decor questions at all, please do pop them in the comments and we'll get to them at the end. But to begin with, I just wanted to have a chat with you about how, I absolutely love your home. I see so many gorgeous photos. How do you add colour to your home?
Well, we bought here 5.5 years ago, and when we moved in, it was very much red accent walls, lots of sort of custardy woodwork and everything. And we actually got here when Henry was only 4 months old. So the first thing we did was we just went white and grey with everything because that was the big trend of interiors. Um, but I very quickly learned that that was not me. It was very draining on me, and we sort of just gradually started putting bits of colour in. Like my husband would come home from work and he'd be looking around like, "What has she done today? What's she added in?" But I think a lot of people get quite nervous about adding colour into their home. Like I get messages pretty much every day, like my home's very white. How do I love looking at what you're doing. How do I go about adding colour in? And I always just say, if if you're very new to colour, start small. So cushions, throws. If you're brave enough, curtains, though I know curtains are quite an investment. So I think throws and cushions and maybe covering a little ottoman or something are a great way to start, or lamps and things like that. And I think if you are a lover of colour and you enjoy those in your home, it'll just explode from there and you'll start adding more and more colour into your home. Like I remember when we got a couple of years ago our teal sofa in the lounge.
Oh, lovely.
Before that we had brown sofas in there. And I was just like, oh, I love it. And I know that's not for everyone, but I was like, right, just more colour everywhere now. And I think we've pretty much touched every room in the house now. It's taken
Oh,
nearly
wow.
6 years, but oh, I'm just so much happier surrounded by colour. But I think just starting small, and I think a lot of it can be trial and error. Like it's quite easy to look at somebody else's house on Instagram and be like, I love that, I want to do it. And then maybe you might copy a bit of it or replicate a bit of it, and it might still not feel quite right in your home.
Mm.
I think like a big colour palette for me is green and pink. They are just my ultimate favourite together. I love green and pink. So pretty much every room in our house will have one of those colours in it. And then we've just gradually added to that. So there is quite a lot of yellow in the house now as well. That seems to be a colour that I've really fallen in love with this year. But yeah, I think just starting small, and then if you get the bug, you get the bug. And I definitely got the
Mm.
bug when it came to colour.
No, sorry, absolutely. When we bought our house, it was very much kind of its time, 70s decor. It has a terracotta door in the kitchen, but I kind of like that because it's just a little bit funky, and then slowly we've just kind of got away from having that greige look to just pops of colour with plants and colours. So it is just, like you said, all of those simple things that you can do just to brighten up each of those rooms.
Yeah. I mean, I went very full on with colour, but then this year I seem to have gone wild with pattern, and I'm like, I need more pattern absolutely everywhere. Like, I know you sell a lot of the Linwood fabrics, and that's a headboard behind me that I made for our bedroom out of one of the fabrics. And as soon as I started adding a little bit of pattern, I was like, this is my new obsession. Every room needs to be full of pattern now.
No, because that really goes on really well to the next question, which is, so this year you've been starting to add pattern. Where did you kind of start doing it, and how do you go about adding pattern to everyone, to anyone's home?
I think for me it was cushions, but my mind works in a very weird way. Like at one point, I just fit anything that was like a similar color. I just filled our lounge sofa with cushions, and then I felt a bit overwhelmed by it. I totally stripped it all back again and then started. But I do what I call shop my home. So in our loft, we kind of have a few bags of like cushions and throws and stuff from over the years. And when I want to switch things up, I'll go up and have a nosy at what I've got in there. And then things might move around to different rooms and things. But once I'd got my head around what I did and didn't like with the cushions in our lounge, for starters, that's when the pattern kind of started expanding from there. And I was like, oh, if I get a similar colorway in the wallpaper, they'll look really cool against each other. And then it was throws, and I was like, I'd buy like 3 throws and I'd have to bring them home and see them in place, and then I'd pick which one and take the other ones back. And then it's kind of just gone wild this year from there. Like wallpaper and fabric this year have been my absolute go-to for any project. I'm like, what can I do now with some fabric, and what can I do with this wallpaper? I mean, I've actually run out of rooms now. I think I've got a room left.
Yeah, it's been such a pleasure to kind of see your journey throughout the year of how it, you're adding pattern to your home. And do you find it quite difficult to choose which pattern would work with different colours?
I mean, doing this bit, so this is actually a bit of a sneak peek of the bedroom. I'm sharing it tonight, our finished bedroom. And this room had been awful until like the last few months. But for this room, I found the hardest, and I don't know why I found it so hard, but I ended up with about 60 wallpaper samples that I'd ordered. I think from just fabrics alone, I'd ordered like 20 fabric samples, and I was like, which one will work in here? And it was just what I think everyone will always have like a problem room. Like some of the rooms, I'm like, this is what I'm getting. I know straight away what it is. It goes in, I'm like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. Whereas other rooms, if I'm thinking about it, I think too much. I end up with stacks and stacks of samples, but me and my little boy are going to use all those samples to decorate his doll's house, so they won't be going to waste.
Lovely, that sounds so lovely. What a great idea.
I know, I was like, well, there's loads of little bits of fabric. Well, one of the fabric samples that I ordered from Just Fabrics, he picked out and he was like, I love this one, mummy. And then we got his bed and headboard done in that fabric, and I was like, that is a very good choice. You can tell that he grows up in a very colourful house.
Oh, that just sounds so magical. I completely agree with you. I find living rooms so easy to kind of, because I know what mood and feeling I want to have when they're sitting there. But for some reason, dining rooms, I just can't do it. I just no idea how I would go about doing that. So with that, did you have a similar thing? So you said with this room, but did you find any dining room, kitchens, and bathrooms quite difficult?
Yeah, my dining room was my problem room until recently. So I've decorated, I mean, we've been here nearly 6 years, and I've decorated the dining room about 5 times now, because I found like, oh, I love this, and I'd love it for one season, but it wouldn't suit through all of the seasons.
Yeah.
Because we're in an end terrace, our dining room is in the middle of the house, so it gets very little natural light at all. So what looks good in spring and summer just felt so dull when we got to like autumn, winter. So I always found that I just kept redecorating, and my husband's like, when are we stopping? Like, when is the dining room going to be done? And then recently I got some like super patterned curtains made for the dining room. And I was like, this is it. I know what I'm doing with it now, and it's decorated and I love it. But I think that's the thing, like living with something for a bit. So like I said before, if people are quite new to colour, I think something like a cushion or a throw or a lamp or something, because if you live with that colour and pattern in position for a while, it's quite easy to realise like, yeah, I absolutely love that, or no, that is totally not my vibe, that's not right for me at all.
Yes, no, I definitely feel that. At the moment we've got everything cream, and I've tried to add a bit of colour with some candles and the dining room table and the table runner. I just have no idea where to start, to be honest, with it. Yeah, it is tricky when you've got that problem room and you just have no idea where to start.
Yeah, and I know it's obviously not everyone's gonna want to be decorating the same room like 5 times, are they? But that is 100% where samples come into place. Like even with paint samples, make sure you put it on multiple rooms, like multiple walls or surfaces that are facing different directions, because some colours just look absolutely different in the same room but somewhere else in there.
No, absolutely. I had, again, very similar, where we picked out this very nice bluey grey colour for our bedroom, and then one wall it looked fab, but then the other walls where the light didn't hit it, it just looked so dark.
Yeah.
Very cold colour now, so I definitely recommend anybody doing that. Just put it on every wall that you possibly can. Yeah.
I mean, the wallpapers and fabrics in here, I cut them up a bit smaller and I had them pinned up on like a few walls in here. And Joe was like, it's like a living mood board in here. I was like, I just need to be sure because I only want to do this one.
That's such a fab tip. I'm going to write that one down for myself when now we're currently decorating. And that's a really good follow-on to the next question, which is, have you got any tips for beginners who are still starting out their interior design decor journey?
I think it's like a lot of the time I just follow my gut with things, but when I know it's going to cost more than like a little £100 budget, I like to mood board things and take fabric and wallpaper samples out with me so that I can hold them up against things that I like. But I very much have a rule in this house of, if you like it, get it. Like, don't be put off by what is a current trend or what you think somebody else might think of that item. Just, if you love it, get it, and it will work somewhere in your home. Don't be put off by what's in trend and what your friends and family might think of it, because you live in your home and it should make you happy. It's not about what anybody else thinks about your home.
Absolutely, and trends do come and go, and it does seem like a massive circle with them coming and going and coming and going. And yeah, I definitely would recommend anybody, just don't look at trends, be inspired, but what go with your gut instincts, really.
Yeah. I love buying secondhand as well. Like, absolutely love it. We've got quite a few little sort of antique shops, and I mean, we're a little seaside town, so we are full of charity shops here as well. But I love going in and I'm like, someone would have loved this for so long and they don't love it anymore, but I love it now, so it's coming home with me. And part of our home.
I'm with you. I absolutely love going to charity shops, all of those types of things, because there's such a treasure trove of so much style.
Yeah, definitely. I always think with old things, it's already got its own story, and like, if it could talk, what would it tell you about where it's been and what it's seen, and to then give it a new lease of life in a new home. I love mixing old and new together.
Yes, no, I completely agree with you. It's one of my favourite styles, just having that eclectic mix of pattern and colour from different periods. It looks so beautiful.
I do always feel bad though if someone goes, "Where's this from?" and I'm like, I got it from a charity shop, or I saved it from the back alley, someone was checking it out.
Oh, amazing. So we have got lots of questions that have been sent in. So we're going to get to the questions from our lovely audience now.
Okay.
If anybody watching has any questions for Tara, do please pop them in the comment section and we'll get to them at the end of our live. The first question that I have is, where do I start when adding colour to my home?
So I think I've already sort of covered that, but I think just start small if you're new to adding colour to your home and then work up from there. So cushions, throws, lamps, covering a little footstool or something. Like some people do some incredible upcycles using wallpaper on like a little set of drawers.
Yeah.
And I just think bringing those little bits of colour in, you'll very quickly learn what does and doesn't work for you and what sort of vibe you do want to go for. Like my wardrobe is as colourful as my house, so I think like they both kind of reflect off each other. Like if I see something in a shop, I'm like, oh, I love this colour and I want to wear it. It'll then always kind of find its way into our home somewhere as well. Like cobalt blue, I had to put that in our hallway recently because I'm like, I love this colour at the moment.
Oh, amazing. And I always found, I found out radiator spray. If you ever want to kind of update your radiators, I didn't realise that you could actually get spray to do that. And it's such
I just use normal emulsion.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, people are always like, are you painting that in something special? I'm like, no, my dad, when we grew up, he would just use leftover wall paint and paint the radiator. Because how many people are touching your radiators all the time? Like, they don't really get touched, do they? So I just, if we've not got a new like, I think we've only got like 2 new radiators in this house since we moved in, but all the others are just leftover wall paint.
Oh, wow. I'm about to embark on the radiator. that I'm
But you can also use emulsion on lampshades and things as well. So
no, that's good. Such a good tip for beginners. And the next one, so keeping on the theme of colour, is which colours go well together and which one should I avoid?
I don't believe in rules. I mean, on the colour wheel, it's meant to be the ones either side of it go well and the ones directly opposite on the colour wheel go well. But I just think if you love a colour, just have a play with it. Do you like it? What did it used to be like? Pink and green. Well, I say pink and green should always be seen, but there's all these little rules and rhymes, isn't there, on the colours that shouldn't go together. But if you look out in nature, every colour sits alongside each other and looks absolutely beautiful. So
no, that is really interesting. So I've got some tulips in my garden and they're an orange and they're just so beautiful. But I was always told, do not put pink and orange together. It's like, well, they look really pretty here.
Yeah.
With the next one is all about updating kitchens. So how do I add pattern to a kitchen?
So I've just recently added 2 wallpapered walls to our kitchen. I've not shared it on Instagram yet, so no one's actually seen it yet, but I absolutely love it. I've done the 2 opposite walls. So one of the walls looks into our utility room if you open the door. So I've picked one wallpaper for that wall that ties in the colours from our kitchen into the utility room, and the opposite wall looks from the kitchen into the dining room. So I chose a totally different wallpaper for that wall that tied in the colours of the dining room and the kitchen together. But I think wallpaper, like, I don't know why people have said in the past don't put wallpaper in kitchens, but you can get special matte varnishes if you want to be extra careful, like if it's near a sink or a cooker, which you can cover and then it'll be totally wipeable. But I've just added wallpaper and absolutely love it. But I've also got patterned tiles and then tile samples I've used on the kitchen side to sit like the kettle on and things. So even if you go and get a sample tile from somewhere like B&Q, also little vintage bits and pieces or a little gallery wall. Like there's so many ways to add pattern into any room, I think. And little vintage like teacups and bits and bobs like that, everything's got a little bit of pattern in it, and as you start building on it, then you're like, oh, pattern wonderland all of a sudden that's appeared from nowhere.
That sounds so amazing. I cannot wait to see your kitchen reveals. Did you find it difficult? Because I guess with me certainly, I'm always quite, oh, do I add pattern? Do I not add pattern? Is it going to be practical? Did you find yourself having those questions?
Oh, this year I'm just, if I can find somewhere to put a bit of pattern, it's going there. I'm
Amazing.
like, where's left that I can add some pattern to?
And the next question is all about creating a cosy home. So, how do I make my home feel cosy with pattern and colour and decor?
I love a good throw. And my other obsession that has multiplied is lamps. So there's an audio going around on Instagram at the moment about never ever ever putting the big light on, and I'm like, I thought that was just a northern thing at one point, but like I remember like when I lived at home with my mum and dad when I was younger, if you put the big light on, it'd be like, oh, it's like Blackpool illumination
Yes.
in here. Whereas that's just like a standard parent joke. But we live right near Blackpool. But I love lamps for coziness. I think layering things like blinds and curtains, um, throws, blankets. I mean, my page is called Our Layered Home because I just love to layer more, more, more. But I love layering rugs as well because it's a great way of sort of creating zones in a room and adding kind of a cozy factor. Like I always have at least two rugs in the lounge and it just makes it feel so cozy.
And I suppose with rugs and throws and cushions, you can have so many colours and patterns, and again, that's all layering all of the different styles in your room as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And it's pieces that can change seasonally as well. Like if it's a home like yours sounds like you're quite sort of minimal with your colour and things. It means that at Christmas, if you want some burgundy pattern, then you can get out some cushions and bits and bobs that are in that colourway. But then come the new year or spring or whatever, you can swap that out and have some pastel-y colours in there. And
No, absolutely. And yeah, my husband is not very happy that every time I go to any fair, I come back with about three different types of cushions.
oh, well, you must get to go to the best places to find things like that, though.
Cheltenham and just the Cotswolds in general is such treasure trove for all of these little vintage markets and marketplaces, and you can just find so many beautiful cushions and throws. And I absolutely adore all of the throws and cushions we've got here at Just Fabrics as well. It's just so lovely, just to layer, like you said, layer everything. And you can, if it doesn't work in the winter, you can then throw it out and then replace it in the summer and the spring. So I definitely think it's such a versatile thing to do, is just to swap out all of your soft furnishings.
Definitely.
Yeah, it is lovely. And on the topic actually of cushions and throws, is how do I begin to add soft furnishings to my home?
I think find one that you just absolutely love, because I think like with statement wallpapers and things, a statement cushion, everything can then lead off from there. Like my sister and her boyfriend bought their first home last year, and she just found a cushion that she absolutely loved for the lounge. And she was like, what do I get to go with this now? And I said, you just pull out all those colours and start looking for things in those colours, and you'll just find things that work from that one piece. And I think sometimes even like a whole room makeover can come from a cushion that you fall in love with or a rug that you fall in love with. It can spur on a whole makeover.
And as well, like self furnishings can also include plants, and so adding just different plants in your house can just create such a different feel, can't it?
Yeah, and if you have changed up colours in something like a cushion or a throw, and say your plant pots don't go with it, that's what paint's for. You can quite simply paint a lamp base or plant pots to match in with what you're kind of going for. Now, like, I always save my empty candles and plant pots because even if they don't go now, if I need a plant pot, I know I can just easily paint them up and then it'll fit in fine.
Absolutely. With lamps as well, you can change just the lamp shade itself. You can just grab a bit of, you know, any scrap fabric that you've got that you like the look of, just wrap it around, and you can, yeah, it's such a simple ways, isn't it, to add it.
There's so many ways to make lampshades that anyone can do as well. Like last year, I actually had a go at making a lamp from scratch, and I absolutely loved it. But then just with a bit of adhesive spray, you can just quite quickly do it that way as well, which means anyone can change up their lamps.
Absolutely, I know, completely agree with you. And on the topic of, say, patterns, how can I use modern and traditional patterns together?
I think they just work. Like I love a traditional rug then brought together with more up to date things, but I just totally love old and new together anyway. That's kind of the vibe I try to bring to our house. Like our hallway, I just went out and started collecting vintage mirrors and I just filled it. And our house, I wouldn't say our house is super traditional or super modern. It's just, I kind of like what I like. But I think like striped wallpaper, like striped patterns and checked patterns will just always be a great base for anything. So if you've got something super traditional or super modern, those two patterns kind of fall into both of those categories and can work with super traditional or super modern. But again, samples, it's just giving it a go, and you'll either feel like I love that works so well, or you'll be like, it's a little bit iffy, I'm not sure.
No, absolutely, and I completely agree with you. Ticking and stripes and checks, it's such a versatile style that you can pair it with, you know, the bigger, bolder patterns like you've got with your headboard, or it can be the standalone piece if you want that. And I definitely think that's a really good suggestion for everybody to have something like that as a canvas, because your headboard is beautiful. I absolutely love that fabric. It's very boho kind of, very, very cozy looking, and it does just look fantastic with your striped wallpaper.
Well, I like I said, I got so many samples for this room and I fell in love with so many different things, but I wanted both of them to make their own statement, and a lot of the things I was trying just didn't feel right. And then when I did find this stripe, I was like, yep, that's the perfect base for everything else I want to do.
No, it does look absolutely phenomenal, and I love what you've done with the headboard, because again, updating your headboard is such a simple thing that anybody could do.
So easy. Like I mean, if I was to do this again, there's things that I know that I can do differently and better next time. But it's literally some MDF that I cut down with my jigsaw, foam, wadding, and just my staple gun. And it's created a whole new bed out of a bed that we've had the whole time we've been here and cost us probably about £200, like however many years ago. And now it looks like a fancy bed.
And it is, and I do love headboards because you can add, like you said, any colour or pattern to it. You know, it doesn't have to just be a plain pattern, and the fabric that you chose is just absolutely gorgeous.
Well, that's what started the whole makeover. I was like, well, it needs to match the colours of this now. I'll have to turn you a bit because I did finish my curtains with the just fabric last night.
Oh, wow.
There's a very funky ceiling going on in here as well, and when I finished that last night I was like, oh my gosh, and my husband even walked in and he was like, Cara, that looks awesome.
And how did you find making curtains? Because was this your first time making curtains?
So yeah, I wouldn't say I've done it like properly. I ordered curtain rings that had the little clasps on, so I didn't have to sew on any like trim for hooks or put giant eyelets or anything in. So I think it's something that anyone with basic sewing skills could replicate, or even not. You could always just do iron on, hemming, and make a curtain. But I'm so chuffed with them, and it was just the perfect finishing pattern and touch for in here. I love it. I now need that fabric. I need more of it to do.
I cannot wait to get a closer look at your curtains. It's very exciting. Yeah. And so we've got one more question that we've been sent in, which is, where is the best place to start when adding pattern to your home?
Oh, there's so many places. I think just well, I always turn to kind of nature to inspire different things. So I'm very, if I see a colorway or pattern when I'm just out and about, I'll then go and look and see if there is something available for me to find that's out there. But at the moment, I'm just loving, like, my sewing machine is so like fluffy today. I haven't used my sewing machine this much in ages, but I've just been wanting to make things all the time at the moment. But again, just soft furnishings is a great way to start adding pattern. And then this year, I've got a real obsession for wallpaper and fabric, just bringing them into the home. And it is an obsession because I've literally tackled like 4 rooms in the past month. But it feels so cozy for Christmas now. But I think learning to sew, if you get into interiors or you want to kind of put an original stamp on your home, is such a great basic skill to have, because you can just buy a meter of fabric for like £14 and make a cushion or a draft excluder or napkins and a tablecloth. Just so easy, and I'm so glad I learned when I was younger to sew, and it's something I'll definitely be teaching my 5-year-old son to do so that he can be making things as well.
No, I completely agree, and I'm so thankful for my mum for teaching me, however painful it was for her, how to sew. And yeah, I'm currently making Christmas bunting from just leftover.
Oh, gorgeous.
And yeah, that's what I love so much about, you can, like you said, buy half a metre of fabric, make cushions, then you've got so much left over. You could, make anything. You could make some napkins or make some bunting. And that's what I love so much about it. It's such a great skill that can be used for so many different projects.
Yeah, definitely. Like, my husband made a patchwork quilt for our son when I was pregnant with him. And he had like basic hand sewing skills that his dad had taught him when he was younger. And then he just got me to quickly show him how to use our sewing machine. And it's by no means perfect, but it's like the best thing. That, like, he went and picked the fabric and I'd shown him how to cut all the pieces, and he's made our son a quilt when he was a baby, and it's just brilliant.
That is so lovely. Did you find it quite hard to quilt? Because I'm currently thinking about it.
I mean, he did quite big squares. It wasn't like fancy little, and it's not all perfectly lined, but as with anything in life, I think it's just trial and error, isn't it? And sometimes the imperfections of something and knowing that it's handmade is what makes it so special and so beautiful.
Absolutely, and that's so personal that your son can grow up and go, this is what my dad made me.
Yeah.
Amazing. And just a question from me, have you got any projects for the future in the next couple of weeks, or?
I'm going to take a break over Christmas and New Year because I haven't stopped and I'm not quite done yet with what I want to have done by Christmas. But next year I want to start a YouTube channel so that I can show in more detail, because I know like reels is a massive thing this year and I've loved creating them and showing people how to make things. I get so many questions that can't be answered in like a 12-second reel.
Yes.
But I want to do a lot more of my sewing and making things and teaching people how to do that next year. And all of those will just be things that I'm working into our home that I want to make for our home. But the next big project will be our bathroom.
Oh.
I want to fill with colour and pattern as well, and find the right way of doing that. But it's been on my bucket list, but hopefully next year is the year that we finally get it done.
Oh, that's very exciting. I've got my bathroom penciled in for next year as well. And
exciting.
Yeah, I'm very daunted at the prospect. You know, I love adding like, prints, and I would like to have kind of pictures everywhere in the bathroom and some kind of Edwardian colourful tiles. And
Lovely.
my husband wants grey.
Oh no, he needs teaching.
He does, he absolutely does. Add some colour in them. I want green, I want blue, I want yellow, and no.
Oh no, I think my husband just kind of he's given up trying to have any input on it now. I think.
That's what I need to do in the next 6 years. Maybe then he'll just say, right, you do it.
There was a stage where I was trying to like make the ideas feel like they were his ideas for a bit. So I'd be like sowing the seed for quite a while, and I'd be like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that. No, I accept it all. It is what it is.
No, I absolutely love that. So I just wanted to say thank you, Tara, so much for joining us today and answering all of the questions from our lovely, lovely audience.
No, thank you for having me. It's nice to chat to somebody.
And I just want to say, anybody watching, if you do have any questions for either myself or Tara in the future, do send us a message or DM. So Tara's, yours at Our Laid Home, ours is at @just_fabrics. If you do have any questions, do get in touch.